After Punjab, the Congress top brass looks keen to resolve Rajasthan tussle. The party has rushed top leaders to Jaipur to avoid any repeat of what transpired in 2020. According to the reports that are trickling in, the Gehlot-led Rajasthan government is likely to see cabinet expansion and political appointments on 28th of July. It's an unconfirmed news at this point of time, but this is what sources are indicating at the moment. Congress General Secretary KC Venugopal and party's Rajasthan unit in charge Ajay Maken met MLAs. They met the Pradesh Congress committee members at the party office in Jaipur. We got you those live visuals as well just about a while back. The MLAs have been instructed to be present in Jaipur on 28th of July. Venugopal and Maken are also going to be meeting the Chief Minister Gehlot on Sunday, which is today, before leaving for Delhi. Meanwhile, a meeting between Gehlot, Maken and Venugopal took place late last evening over the inclusion of pilot supporters in the cabinet. While the Congress top brass were trying to find an amicable solution inside the party office, pilot camp supporters held protests and raised slogans outside the office seeking plum positions and representations in the state cabinet.
28 और 29 तारीख को 2 दिन के लिए राजस्थान में मैं फिर खुद आ रहा हूं और हम लोग कांग्रेस विधायकों से मैं यहां पर आकर के एक-एक करके सबसे अलग बात करके जिला और ब्लॉक के बारे में उनसे मंत्रणा करूंगा, क्योंकि हम चाहते हैं कि हम लोग कोई भी निर्णय जिला और ब्लॉक का करें तो हमारे विधायकों का सीधे जो है AICC को पता होना चाहिए। हम संज्ञान लेना चाहते हैं और इसलिए हम लोग 28 और 29 को मैं 2 दिन के लिए यहां पर आकर के सभी विधायकों से मैं मिल रहा हूं।
राजस्थान की जनता और राजस्थान का कांग्रेस का कार्यकर्ता यही चाहता है कि राजस्थान के मुख्यमंत्री पद पर सचिन पायलट साहब बने। आज हमारे संगठन के महासचिव वेणुगोपाल जी और अजय माकन जी आ रहे हैं। हम सभी कार्यकर्ता अपनी भावनाएं, जनता की भावनाएं ये व्यक्त कर रहे हैं कि राजस्थान की जनता सचिन पायलट साहब को चाहती है।
राजस्थान के सभी युवा ये चाहते हैं सचिन पायलट को, आलाकमान को सीएम बनाना चाहिए, तभी कांग्रेस की सरकार दोबारा रिपीट होगी।
देखिए, हम चाहते हैं सचिन पायलट के नेतृत्व में सरकार आई थी, सचिन पायलट को सीएम बनाना चाहिए। हम आलाकमान से मांग करते हैं कि सचिन पायलट सीएम बने। हमारे नेता सचिन पायलट है।
2 years ago, he engineered BJP's return to power in Karnataka. Now, Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa may be on his way out. B.S. Yediyurappa in Belagavi said that he's going to be getting information from the top leadership in Delhi by the time he reaches Bengaluru, and further decision is going to be taken based on that. B.S. Yediyurappa also urged the seers not to hold convention. Meanwhile, the Lingayat seers, who have rallied behind the Chief Minister in a mega show of strength, have organized key meeting. Around 500 seers are attending the meeting, which is seen as a strong message by the Lingayat community against the removal of BSY as Chief Minister. BJP top brass have been upset about Yediyurappa's last-ditch effort to try and prevent Yexit. Meanwhile, we've learned that Yediyurappa is going to be celebrating 2 years in office with a mega event at Vedant Soda on Monday. On the agenda, there's a book release on his achievements in the past 2 years and a speech on the work done by his government.
ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಗಳು ಒಂದು ಸಭೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಒಂದು ಸಮಾವೇಶ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳಕ್ತೇವೆ?
ಅದೇನು ಯಾವುದೇ ಸ್ವಾಮಿಗಳ ಈ ಥರ ಸಭೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಅಗತ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಪ್ರಧಾನಿ ನರೇಂದ್ರ ಮೋದಿ ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅಮಿತ್ ಶಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಡ್ಡಾ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇದೆ. ಹೇಳ್ರಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ.
ಸರ್, ದಲಿತ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ? ಯಾಕಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಸಹ ಯಾರು ದಲಿತ ಮುಖ್ಯಮಂತ್ರಿಗಳಾಗಿಲ್ಲ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ. ಆ ನಿಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ?
ಅದು ನಾನೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡು ಮೊದಲು ಏನು ತೀರ್ಮಾನ ತಗೊಂತಾರೆ ಇವತ್ತೊಂದು ಕಾದು ನೋಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ತೀನಿ.
शनि और सूर्य जब भी एकट होता है, राज्य के मुख्यमंत्री या प्रधानमंत्री फ्रंट लाइन में रहते हैं। उनका अपना स्थान देने वाला ही शनि है। वो शनि यहाँ पर अब वक्र चल रहा है, गुरु वक्र चल रहा है। ये अप एंड डाउन कैसा हो रहा है? ये राहु ग्रह और शनि ग्रह दोनों ऊपर नीचे हो रहा है ना। ये जब तक है सितंबर तक ऐसा ही चलेगा। सितंबर से नवंबर तक एक अस्थिर रहेगा। वो स्थिरता कब आएगा? सितंबर से नवंबर तक स्थिरता हो।
Nolan is now joining us live for the very latest on this. Nolan, the Yexit suspense is peaking at the moment. Is a change of guard imminent in Karnataka? What is going on? Get us the finer bolts and nuances of what's transpiring right there.
Well, a lot of confusion, Gehlot, as of now, because everyone knows that it's time up for Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa. He himself has actually stated this very open. Today, this morning itself, what our viewers have actually heard, he's only waiting for some sort of call or information from the BJP High Command. He is now in Belagavi. He's expected back in the city at around 5:30. If he does get a call today or any information, that is when we will know. But as of now, no one knows who's going to be the next candidate, because this is how the BJP High Command actually works. It's very secretive. Could it be a Brahmin candidate? Could it be from the Lingayat, from his own community? Or could it be a Vokaliga? No one yet knows. But in order to try and this last-ditch effort from seers from the community, that is what is happening over here. It's supposed to be a huge convention. They have constantly maintained the fact that Yediyurappa is the tallest leader. He is their leader. They want him over here. They have clearly stated that they want him to complete his term, that the BJP High Command should not stop him, should not drop him as of now. Let him complete his term. We have an imminent third wave. This is what experts talk about. You have the flood situation. Let Yediyurappa complete his term. That is what they want. And they've also very clearly stated that in case the BJP High Command does decide to disturb or drop Yediyurappa, then things might not go too well for the BJP in the next election. That is 2 years' time, 2023. So last-ditch effort going on over here. CM is actually in Belagavi. He'll come in the evening. We will know if he's received a call. But tomorrow is the celebration, a massive celebration, in fact, when he completes 2 years in office.
Absolutely. Leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us with the very latest right there, Nolan. We'll keep coming back to you for more on this. Let's now move on to the other big story we're tracking here on India Today. As far as the chief ministerial candidate for Karnataka is concerned, from the Lingayat community, you've got Murugesh Nirani. He's a cabinet minister. He's one probable successor. Other contenders in the fray, you've got Basangauda Yatnal. He's the present cabinet minister. Again, he comes from the Lingayat fraternity. Then you've got him, who's Basavaraj Bommai. He's a BJP MLA, again from the Lingayat fraternity. We have some non-Lingayat contenders in the fray as well. You could call them rank outsiders for the moment. But from the other communities, you've got CN Ashwath Narayan. He's the Vokalika community present deputy chief minister. He is one contender in the fray to watch out for. Then you've got two more. In fact, let's bring those up on your screens right now. Prahlad Joshi, Brahmin community. He's a present union minister, and he's a probable contender to be the chief minister. Sunil Kumar, IDIGA, OBC community, present government chief whip, and core RSS. He's one other contender who is in the running to become the chief minister of Karnataka. In case the Yexit happens today, there's going to be high level of drama. The extreme rainfall in Maharashtra over the last few days has left a trail of destruction. 112 people have lost their lives. 99 people are missing in the back of the heaviest rainfall in the state in the month of July in the last 40 years. Raigad received over 165 millimeters of rain, while the coastal district of Ratnagiri received over 300 millimeters of rainfall in the 24-hour period between 22nd and 23rd of July. Over 135,000 people have been evacuated across the state. 34 NDRF teams, 14 Indian Army teams, Navy and Air Force have been deployed over the state for search and rescue operations. Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray has visited the flood-hit area. He's promised quick rehabilitation and financial assistance to the ones who were affected. In a horrifying incident, 8 COVID patients died at a hospital in Chiplun town of Ratnagiri in Maharashtra after floodwater entered the hospital. Almost 80% of the town is partially submerged and facing power outage. Here's more.
COVID chaos. And now nature's fury. Monsoon mayhem in Maharashtra. Landslides, deaths and loss of property. Horror stories from across the state. One such tragedy unfolded in Chiplun town in Maharashtra's Ratnagiri district. Almost 80% of the town is partially submerged. If that wasn't enough, flooding led to loss of power supply and 8 COVID patients died at the hospital. Water gushed inside the COVID center, shutting off power supply. That cut off oxygen supply to 8 ventilators.
टोटल सप्लाई पूरा बंद हो गया, लाइट चली गई, ऑक्सीजन लेवल कम होती गई.
45 people, including patients and staff, were stuck inside the COVID center for over 36 hours. 25 staff members saved themselves by going to the other side of the building with the help of the bed sheets tied to each other. 14 COVID patients and some doctors and nurses stayed behind at the COVID center. Locals provided food packets to those stranded inside with the help of a rope.
इधर एक तर से इधर एक आदमी आया, उधर से हम लोग को एक जन को मतलब एक को ऐसा एक आदमी उधर से पकड़ के एक को आदमी को हम लोग इधर तक लाया सबको.
Ratnagiri district collector claims that the deaths were due to comorbidities and not oxygen shortage. An inquiry has been set up to find the reasons that led to the deaths of 8 COVID patients at the center.
The staff members are saying that they tried their best to save the COVID patients. The power failure led to the failure of oxygen plant, and that resulted in short supply of oxygen, and 8 COVID patients have lost their lives. Enquiry will be conducted, action will be taken or might be taken, but the reality over here is that 8 patients, innocent patients, lost their lives and no one could do anything because of the flooding. That's what is being claimed by the government machinery. With cameraman Vaibhav Kangutkar, this is Pankaj Khelkar in Chiploon, Ratnagiri for India Today.
As the cases continue to dip in Delhi, the government has eased the COVID restrictions from Monday. And as per the latest guidelines, if you live in Delhi, this is important for you to know. Delhi Metro is going to be operating at full capacity. DTC and cluster buses are also going to be operating with 100% capacity. Cinema halls, theatres, multiplexes are going to be allowed to reopen and operate at 50% capacity. Auditoriums, assembly halls will be allowed to operate with 50% capacity. The maximum capacity for marriage and funerals has been set at 100. Spas across Delhi will be allowed to reopen, but the employees will have to be fully vaccinated or undergo RT-PCR test every 2 weeks. Delhi reported 66 new cases and 0 deaths on Saturday, and the infection rate has fallen to 0.09%. Delhi Chief Minister and Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal are once again at loggerheads. This is coming after the latter rejected a panel of lawyers picked by the city government for the cases against the farmers protesting against the centre's farm laws. The LG, citing his powers under the constitution, cleared a panel of 11 advocates suggested by Delhi police instead. Delhi Chief Minister took to Twitter, said that such interference in everyday work is an insult to the people of Delhi. Meanwhile, in a letter to the Delhi government, LG said that the matter had been referred to President Ramnath Kovind, but since it's an urgent matter, exercising his powers, 11 lawyers named by the Delhi police have been appointed as public prosecutors. Amidst the pandemic chaos and the continuing farm stir, farmers have produced a bumper crop this season, and the Science Centre has made a bumper procurement. Listen in.
The deadlock continues almost 8 months on. But in the middle of the standoff in the pandemic, farmers in food grain states produced a bumper crop, and the central government facilitated a bumper procurement.
भारत सरकार के निर्णय, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की जो कृषि और किसान के प्रति प्रतिबद्धता है, उसके परिचायक हैं और वो प्रतिबद्धता को दर्शाते हैं.
India Today analyzed official data of yield and procurement across seasons. Wheat procurement for 2021 to 2022, 433.24 lakh metric tons. Wheat procurement for the year 2020 to 2021, 389.93 lakh metric tons. Figures reveal over 43 lakh metric tons of more wheat has been produced this year. The previous best stood at around 390 lakh metric tons picked by government agencies in the last Rabi season. Till July the 4th, more than 862 lakh metric tons of paddy have been procured, up from the total procurement of around 771 lakh metric tons of the produce last year. According to the government figures, more than 49 lakh farmers benefited from the direct cash transfers of the MSP this year, up from around 43 lakh last year. And farmers too didn't let the rural economy suffer because of their agitation. Advanced estimates suggest India's food grain production in 2020 to 21 stood at more than 305 million tons, higher by around 8 million tons than the 2019 produce.
हमने उनसे लगातार बात की है, अपना प्रस्ताव भी दिया है और उन्होंने उस प्रस्ताव को स्वीकार नहीं किया, तो हमने कहा है कि आपका क्या प्रस्ताव है, आप लेकर आओ तो हम चर्चा करेंगे.
But talks over the ongoing agitation remain stuck in the stalemate over the new agricultural laws. The farmers want the legislations to be rolled back.
Regardless of the protests, the government is going strong on procurement. But the farmers, in addition to their demand for a complete repeal of the new laws, want MSP guaranteed by the statute. Talks hold the key to resolve the logjam. With camera person Anil Jaiswal, this is Anand Patel in New Delhi for India Today.
The magnificent Mary was at it again in Tokyo. Mary Kom is through the round of 16 in women's flyweight category. She defeated Dominican Republic's Miguelina and she was adjudged the winner on points 4-1. The 2012 bronze medalist from the London Games fought the bout to perfection, defending well and landing crucial punches on an over-aggressive opponent. The 38-year-old, who has already announced that this is going to be her last Olympics, will now take on Ingrid Valencia of Colombia in the next round on Thursday. After a victory, Mary Kom told India Today that Manipuris are tough people who don't come from privilege, and that they work harder and harder to reach their goals. She also expressed her happiness on Mirabai Chanu's silver medal win, saying MC for Mary Kom and MC for Mirabai Chanu, highlighting how the only thing missing from her cabinet is an Olympic gold. She said she's here to try it despite COVID and the restrictions. Boria Majumdar is now joining us live for the latest. Boria, the only thing missing, according to Mary Kom, in her cabinet is an Olympic gold. And how hopeful are you of her chances, given you've seen her performance up close in person?
No, if you really ask me, I'm not hopeful for an Olympic gold because this is a very tough field and Mary Kom is not young anymore. She's 38. Having said that, I mean, the talk that I just had with her in the mix zone, what you just played out, the quote, she's an incredible athlete. I mean, she inspires every second and she's a very dear friend. So the moment I said, Mary, you are adding to the legend, and she started laughing and, you know, all of that. And the passion comes through. She said, why do you want to ask me more questions today? Keep some for the next day because this journey has just begun. I need to keep winning. Now, that's what I love about sport, you know. I mean, the incredible passion, commitment and determination from someone like Mary Kom. And look at the Northeast, man. I mean, this is unbelievable. Love it. Manika Batra an hour back, coming back from 2-0 down to beat a fancy Ukrainian opponent, someone who's 30 ranked, 30 places higher than her in the rankings. Mary Kom comes and beats her opponent, who's much younger. This is the India I want to see, Chaiti. And now Manish Kaushik will take center stage. Right behind me is the boxing arena, excuse me, and then the hockey. So lots of action coming up. Not the greatest day in shooting, but the things are getting better and better as we are getting into dusk. As you can see, Tokyo, it is about 6 p.m. here, so gradually getting twilight, and for India, the light is just brightening up with Mary Kom and Manika Batra.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much, Boria, for those updates right there. Boria is getting us live updates. He's speaking to all the players as well, getting a sense of how they're performing, how they're feeling, how their matches are panning out to be. And Boria will continue getting us all the updates live from Tokyo. For now, it's a wrap from me.